Welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha, a podcast shared by David Roylance. This podcast is dedicated to guiding you to completely eliminate the discontent mind and the suffering it causes by attaining enlightenment. Learn and practice the teachings of Gotama Buddha that will guide you to fully attain a peaceful, calm, serene, and content mind with joy. To support this podcast, visit patreon.com/supportbuddha or visit buddhadailywisdom.com, where you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online learning resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Now, here's our teacher to share more.
Sawadee Kap. Hello and welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. Today is our group learning program, and on Wednesdays we do either meditation or chanting together, and sometimes we even combine these things together. We're actually in our second class of a 4-part series where we're sharing Buddhist chanting, helping you learn the chants that I do before and after meditation. And last week was the first class where I went through a lot of details explaining to you why I actually do the chanting, helping you to understand that it's not mystical, magical things, it's not prayer, it's not worship, it's actually cultivating certain qualities in the mind. So I'd like to welcome you for our second class. If you didn't join the first class, that was recorded on YouTube, Facebook, and our podcast. You're welcome to review that content. In today's class, what I'm going to be doing is just reviewing briefly some of the things that I've talked about last week, and then we'll actually do some practice of the chanting together, and we'll probably even have time to do the chants and some meditation together today as well. So again, welcome to all of you. Let me just switch over to some visual aids here to help you guys see what it is that I'm sharing. Just need to pull it up on the screen. All right. So last week in our first class, I shared the benefits of chanting, which essentially helps you to understand why I actually do chanting. And I'll just go through these things as a little bit of a recap and a review, and then open up to any questions you guys have, because last week I taught them in more detail. The first thing is that it helps us to set up mindfulness in front of us prior to meditating. Mindfulness is awareness of mind. So as we chant, it brings this awareness to the mind, so you're not just plopping down in meditation, ultimately helping you get more benefit out of the meditation itself. The Buddha used this terminology, set up mindfulness in front of you. In the Pali canon, we don't see exactly what he suggested in order to do that. And I imagine he probably left it up to individuals to do that themselves. But for me, what I observe is that the chanting actually helps us to set up mindfulness. And chanting was originally shared by the Buddha as a way to remember his teachings, because it was oral teachings that he delivered all through his life. And twice a month, he had his practitioners to chant his teachings word for word for word. This is how they remembered his discourses. Today we have books and podcasts and videos, things like this, but during his lifetime they didn't have that. So they had to remember his teachings word for word for word. And the unenlightened mind tends to be very muddled and lacks concentration and memorization. So the way that he encouraged people to retain his teachings is through doing chanting. And that's how it all originated. And today we still chant in Pali, but we don't necessarily have to remember the discourses word for word for word. And even if we did, Pali isn't a spoken language anymore, so they don't really have as much meaning to people. But as I did last week, I shared some of the translations, or all the translations of the chants that I do. But during the lifetime of the Buddha, they would have been chanting, for hours, because they would have been chanting things like the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and the 5 precepts and things like this. That's how they retained the teachings, by actually chanting them, reciting them twice a week. So this helps to develop this awareness of mind, concentration, and memory. It also helps you to develop awareness of breath. As you're chanting, you have to be very aware of the breath. It even slows the mind down, relaxes it, and eases it into meditation, and provides you this audible indication that your practice is improving. Because when you first start chanting, that's the most horrible you'll sound. You're not going to be able to be an expert at this immediately. Just like everything else you've ever learned in life, it's going to take you time to gradually build up to being able to remember the chants and actually chant them proficiently. So day by day, week by week, you see this audible improvement in your practice of the chanting, which can be very encouraging and motivating. It also helps to cultivate respect and gratitude for the elders, because these chants and all these teachings have been passed down for many centuries from the lifetime of the Buddha all the way until now. So respect and gratitude is something you need to cultivate as part of this path to enlightenment for all beings. So by you cultivating this gratitude and respect for the elders and for Gotama Buddha, that can then kind of bubble over into other parts of your life, whether it be your life partner, your children, your ex-spouses, your teachers, your neighbors, different people around you, your family and friends. This respect and gratitude that you cultivate in chanting can help to kind of bubble over into other parts of your life so that you're practicing those same qualities with other people. And as I mentioned, this chanting, it has no mystical or magical benefits. The reason why we actually chant is because they did it during the lifetime of the Buddha. They did it to remember the oral teachings, and that was the only reason why they did it. They didn't do it for any other reason. But today, there's people who believe that there's these mystical, magical benefits, but there's not. There's nothing that you can say out of your mouth that's going to bring this mystical, magical benefits. Everything that we experience in life is cause and effect, or action and result, based on the natural law of karma. So the more wisdom that we have about this natural law, then we can make wise decisions to improve the condition of our mind and the condition of our life by cultivating wisdom. There's nothing in terms of chanting that is just going to ultimately create this improved decision making in terms of you're not going to get a longer life, you're not going to eliminate unwholesome karma, you're not going to instantly get to enlightenment. These things and others that are taught as part of chanting isn't the actual truth. There's no mystical, magical, superstitious thing that's happening. It's just literally cultivating these qualities of mind, of concentration, deep memory, getting this awareness of breath, easing the mind into meditation, slowing it down and relaxing it, so that then you can get more benefit out of the actual meditation itself. Because if you just came in and plopped down in meditation, it might take you 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes to start getting to a point where you're really benefiting from the meditation. But if you can do some chanting ahead of your meditation, then from the very beginning of your meditation, you can immediately start reaping the benefits of the actual meditation itself. So let me pause here and see what questions you guys have on these before we actually go in and recap the actual chants and then actually chant together and then move into meditation together. The way that you ask questions is put those into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. And then if you're in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any questions that you like.
Yes, sir. Tony has his hand raised. Let's go to him.
Yes, sir. There's a question from YouTube. Hello, sir. After one has learned these chants, should one try to learn other chants, or just use these chants, no need for any more?
You can learn other chants if you like. These are the 3 most popular chants within the Theravada tradition. That's why I chant these and continue to chant them. It's about a 2.5 minute, lead into your meditation and a 2.5 lead out, exiting your meditation. You wouldn't necessarily need any additional chants. You don't even need these chants, truthfully. That there's no requirement to actually chant in order to get to enlightenment. But these qualities of mind that I talk about, the benefits, you definitely need those in order to get to enlightenment. You would need to set up mindfulness in front of you before meditating. You would need to develop this awareness of mind and concentration and memory. You would need to have awareness of breath. You would need to ease the mind into meditation. All these things that I'm sharing with you that I cultivate and benefit from as part of chanting, you would still need all of these in order to get to enlightenment. But you don't actually need to do chanting in order to do these. You can actually cultivate these benefits in other ways. So there's no harm in learning more chanting. You wouldn't have to learn more chanting. You don't even need to learn chanting at all. There's enlightened beings who don't even chant because as part of the Eightfold Path, that's the path to enlightenment. That's what the Buddha shared in order to train the mind. So if chanting is required, you would see a step that says right chanting, right? But you don't. You see things like right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So that's why you see the benefits here that I share, that I cultivate in chanting, are connected directly to the Eightfold Path and what it is you're trying to accomplish out of the Eightfold Path, because that's the path to enlightenment. So it would be totally up to you whether you choose to not learn these at all, whether you choose to just learn these few and that's all you need, or whether you choose to learn some more. If you really gravitate towards chanting and you really enjoy it, it might be something that you decide to actually learn more.
It does not seem there are any other questions at this time, sir.
All right, so let's look at the chants that we learned last week as part of our class, and we'll chant them together as a class. And I'll even open up to anybody in Zoom who would maybe like to get some personal guidance. You're welcome to volunteer to do chanting, and I'll listen to your chanting. Other members of the community will listen to your chanting and get motivated and encouraged by your progress and your growth. And then I can provide you a little bit of guidance to help you improve your chanting even more. So this is the first chant that I taught, which is called the Triple Gem or the Triple Jewel. It's 3 individual statements, one for the Buddha, one for the teachings, and one for the community. And as I mentioned last week, I feel that these chants are chants that actually were developed after the Buddha's death, because they're honoring the Buddha, they're respecting the Buddha, they're showing this gratitude to the Buddha. He wouldn't have taught people these chants to honor and respect him. He would have just respected people and honored people and had gratitude for his students and other people of the community. And then because of his 45 years of teaching and dedicating all this time, effort, energy, and resources to sharing these teachings, helping people get to enlightenment and completely eliminate discontentedness, they had nothing but gratitude and respect for him in terms of the people that were experiencing progress on the path. So once he died, I feel that they probably created these chants as a way to honor and respect him. So while you'll see the English translations here are honoring and respecting him, it's not something that he would have taught people to do. A Buddha doesn't teach people to bow down to him and honor him and worship him. That's not what he does. He's teaching people to eliminate the pollutions of mind through training the mind. And as a result of that, he would have needed to practice being respectful and having appreciation and gratitude for others. And that respect and gratitude would have came back to him through all of his interactions with his students. They would have been very appreciative of the time, effort, energy, and resources that he dedicated to helping them along this path. And then this is the way that I feel his students honored and respected him. So this first one, I will go ahead and chant with you guys just from right from the beginning. Let's go ahead and chant together. And then after we chant this, then I'll open up to anybody who would like to do this by themselves and receive some personal guidance and encourage and motivate the rest of us through your progress on the path. So go ahead and bring your hands together, palm to palm at your sternum. Take a nice breath, and then we'll just chant this together. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavantang Abhivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Sanghang Namami. Okay, that's the first chant that we learned. I'm going to take a little sip of water. If you've got one close by, you might need one as well. All right. Is there anyone in Zoom who would like to raise their hand and volunteer to chant these on their own? We'll all listen and get encouraged and support you along the way. All right, looks like we have a hand up.
Yes, sir. I'll go ahead and be the first to do this.
Sure.
Araham Sama Sambuddhaya Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanam Apiva Chemi Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami.
All right, good job, Miranda. Obviously, Miranda's been learning this for a while and been practicing a while. She sounds outstanding. I don't have any feedback for you, Miranda. That sounds outstanding. Very good job. Is there anyone else who would like to chant? Looks like you're getting some hearts from some people. Must have enjoyed hearing your chanting. It can be very encouraging, right? So one of the things that's important as part of this path to enlightenment is that you don't compare and measure yourself from one person to the other, right? That's the conceit that wants to do that, is having that arrogance and that pride and wanting to measure, like, oh, Miranda is so much better than me, I don't want to chant, or oh, she's not as good as me, let me show her how to do it, right? This would be like measuring and comparing. Also, there's that self, right? That personal existence view, that self-image and self-identity. Oftentimes we don't want to do things like this in the public because there's shyness, there's this discontentedness where the mind is not wanting to step forward. This is actually an opportunity for you to practice not judging or measuring and comparing yourself to other people. And it's also an opportunity for you to break through any shyness and any personal existence view, or that self, where the self doesn't want to look bad and you're maybe scared to chant in front of other people or something like this. Whereas if you break through that and just like, all right, I'm just going to chant and whatever happens, happens, and break through that shyness, that will actually help you to get closer to enlightenment. I think Miranda could actually share the first time that she did this, she was probably shy and she stepped forward and broke through that. And now she's like, got her hand up before I even get the words out of my mouth to accept volunteers to chant. So this is what you can do when you have these opportunities to practice the teachings, rather than give in to that shyness, rather than give in to that conceit, rather than to give in to that personal existence view that wants to keep you in the corner and not do something like this. Instead, you step forward and actively move towards what you feel might be a challenge, what you might feel is a struggle. You move towards it because that's where you gain the wisdom and you gain improvement to the condition of the mind. So anybody who's joining us for the first time, or maybe they joined this class for the first time last week, go ahead and chant, raise your hand and break through that shyness, break through that personal existence view, break through that conceit. That's how you get rid of it. So we've got some other people, it looks like, that are going to be volunteering. We got some more hands up.
Yes, sir. Chrissy and Tony both have their hands raised. I think that Chrissy raised her hand first, so let's go to her first, sir.
Sure.
Hello. Arahang Sama Sambuddham Bhagava Hotang Hagawanhang Hapivateyami Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamma Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangha Namami.
That was really good, Chrissy. Excellent. Nothing but support and
Thank you.
yeah, nothing but support and love for each person who steps forward to learn and practice. I do have some things to help you though, Chrissy. There was 3 places that I saw where the pronunciation might have been just a little bit off. So what I'm going to do to help you is have you chant through it again, and then I'm going to stop you right where the pronunciation is a little bit off and help you with it, and then that'll be the best way to help you learn the pronunciation. So if you can start at the beginning and just go through it again, and then I'll stop you when you get to the word or the syllable that you mispronounced.
Okay. Arahang Sama Sambuddho
Right here.
Bhagava
That's Sammaputo. Puto.
Buddha.
Yeah, so start from the beginning again.
Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Hotang Hakawan
Pak, right there. Pakawat. Pa. So
Pak.
yeah, so putang paka. I think you're probably using your phone, right? Or using the
I
computer.
am.
Yeah, it's probably hard for you to see the words. So it's putang paka.
Putang Pakawang Tang
You got
Apiwate.
Good, you got it. Do that line again.
Putang Pagawan Tang Apiwate.
Perfect. Now start at arahang and just keep on going.
From the beginning?
Yeah, from arahang. This is just kind of like the repetition will get it soaked into your mind.
Okay. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Hotang Bhagavantang Apiwate.
You nailed it. Keep going.
Okay. Sawakato Bhagavata Adamo Dhamma Namasami.
It's damang.
Dhammang Namasami.
Yeah, do that line again. Sawakato.
Sawakato Bhagavata Adamo Dhammang Namasami.
Yeah, right on. Good job.
Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami.
Yeah, good job, Chrissy. Wonderful. Outstanding.
Thank you.
Yeah, you see the difference now?
I do. It helps to read it while doing it too.
Yeah, when you're first learning, it surely does. Yeah, that was really good. Women chant for some reason, at least for my ear, women just chant so beautiful, so beautiful. I see Tony's hands up. Don't worry, Tony, if you don't sound as good as these women, they just have amazing voices for chanting.
No competition here. No competition. Very well done, ladies. Very well.
That's the way to think about it. No competition. Very good.
Aham sama sambuddho bhagava kutang bhagavantang apivatami.
Te Te mi,
Sawa
te mi.
te mi sawakato pakawata damo dhammang namasemi
Sami.
sami supatipano pakavato sawakat sangko sangkang madamami.
Yeah, that's really good, Tony. You just learned these last week, right?
Yes,
That's
yes, I did.
very, very good for just learning it last week. Can you do it again for us? I'd like to hear you run through it without me stepping in because I think you've got it.
Thank you. Sure, I'll try again. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you've got the pronunciation down really well. And as you start committing it to memory, you'll get the tempo down a little bit better. It's almost like a metronome. It's like Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivatemi. So you kind of get that tempo after you get the memorization. I see you're working on the memorization, but it's going really well for you. So yeah, let's hear it all the way through.
Aham Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavatam Abhivatemi Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namisemi Supatipano Bhagavata Asawaka Sangho Sangkang Namemi.
Very good. Nam Sangkang Namami. Yeah, na ma ma mi. Very good. For 1 week, Tony, that's outstanding. Congratulations, buddy. Have you been practicing?
I have not.
Yeah.
I've not.
Okay.
But I found it in the book here today, so thank you, Teacher David.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's very good. Are there other students who would like to practice?
It does not appear that there are, although Chrissy has her. Oh, no, she just put her hand down. No, there are no other volunteers, sir.
Okay, let's move on to the next chant. Let's do this one together as a group, and then I'll do the same thing and open up and see if you guys would like to chant it. And this one tends to be a bit easier because it's the same statement repeated 3 times. So just bring the palms of your hands together at your sternum. Take a nice deep breath. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. All right, so that's that one. There's no bowing with this one. It's just repeated the same one 3 times. This is oftentimes one that people start learning first. So are there students who would like to practice this one? Miranda's got her hand up again. I just saw her take a big swig of water. We're in for a treat.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Right on, Miranda. Good job. That's what 2 years of practice will get you, right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. All right. Looks like Tony has his hand up too, huh? Let's hear what you got, Tony. I'll help you out. Your mute's still on.
Nama tassa potawaka hato sama sambuddhassa. Nama tessa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Nama kassa patakawa to arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Okay, let's try to do something. I haven't done this before, but let's try it. Let's see if it works. Let's you and I try to chant at the exact same time so that you can hear the pronunciations. Because this is Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So that's the pronunciation, but let's try to do it together. It's Namo, okay? You ready? You start.
Nama tassa
Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato. I think there's a delay. We can't do it.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Yeah, there's like a little delay. All right, let me do it once and you can hear it, okay? And then you'll try again. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay, try that again.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Nama tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Nama tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Okay, that's much better, Tony. Good job. That first word, though, is Namo. You're saying Nama, Namo. But other than that, you got them all down. I'll tell you guys a little joke since we're focusing on this word Namo. I have a nephew whose name is Namo. And his mom is my wife's sister, right? So she's my sister-in-law. And she had a child, and then many years later she had a kind of an oopsie. She had an accident, right? She didn't mean to have a baby, but she got pregnant and she named it Namo. And my sister, my wife said to her sister, you know, sister, you better be careful. You got Namo, you might get Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. You better be careful. So that's a little Buddhist joke for you. So we all laughed, of course, because if you know the chant, then when she named the first, or it was her second child, Namo, you better be careful because you might get tasa, and then it's going to be pakawato, and then there's going to be arahato. Be careful. All right, so that word, Tony, maybe that joke will help you remember it. It's Namo, Namo. And if you ever meet my nephew, his name is Namo. All right.
Chrissy has her hand raised, sir. Let's go to her.
That's funny, Teacher David.
I thought it was too. I can't take credit for the joke though.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Very good, Chrissy. Excellent. Very good. One of the ways that helps you to remember these chants for everybody, this is feedback for everyone who's learning, is when someone else is chanting, like Chrissy and Tony and Miranda, is if you look at the words and listen to them chanting, it really helps to soak the chant into the mind. So you start associating the sound of chanting and the pronunciation to the actual words, because we're using this, English characters to represent the sounds that are being made. So by hearing the sound and looking at the words, it really helps to do that association and connect it for you. But very good job, all of you guys. Anyone else?
It doesn't appear so, sir. But on Facebook, Tonka has asked, I hear Natmo in the first word in the second chant, sir.
Yeah, it should be Namo, 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 Namo.
That's a good thing to know, because I know that I do that also. I say Natmo.
Yeah.
It does not appear we have any more volunteers at this time, sir.
I guess I actually do pronounce it like that in my chant, don't I? Namo. Namo. Yeah, I do pronounce it like that, actually. That's probably why you guys are hearing it that way. When I refer to my nephew, I call him Namo, but when I chant, I say Natmo. So it's Natmo. It's Natmo in the chant. But when I refer to my nephew, I say Namo. So you guys were 100% accurate on that. All right, so let's go to the next chant. This is the ETP So. So let's chant this one together. Bring your palms together. Take a nice deep breath. Iti piso mahakawa arahang samma sambuddho vichacharanang samhuno sakhato rogavitu Anutero purisa Dhammasati satatawa manusanam Bhoto bhagavati. All right. Any volunteers for this one? Looks like Miranda, you're going to have the same three, maybe volunteer.
Iti piso amakoa ahang sama sammuto vichacharanam sampuno sakato rogavitu tadawa manusang Bhutto Bhagavati.
Outstanding, Miranda. Very, very good. Very beautiful. There's nothing, you're welcome. There's nothing more beautiful than a room full of people coming together to do these chants. I mean, it just sounds so beautiful. So for those of you guys that are coming to the retreat, we'll get a chance to experience that, where you'll get to be in a room with a room full of people chanting these. It'll be just so beautiful as our voices harmonize and we kind of do this together as a community. So this is outstanding. Good job, Miranda.
Chrissy has her hand raised. Let's go to her next, sir.
Sounds good.
ETP. Can you help me with the tone getting started again?
Sure.
Sorry.
It's ETP so Mahakawa.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. ETP soam bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vichacharanang sampanno sakato rogavitu Anutero Borisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusanam Poto Bhagavati.
Wonderful, Chrissy. Very nice. Beautiful. Very good.
Thank you.
It appears that Tony has his hand raised. Let's go to him, sir.
Sounds good.
Iti pasaka kawalang skama samputo vichi chiranang sampuno saka to rogavitu anagva parin sadama sata sawa diwi manu sangri putu bhagavati.
Good, Tony. Very good. Very good. It's obvious you're trying to remember them and work through them. So rather than give you feedback on this one, because this is, I think, one of the more challenging ones out of the three, it took me many years to get this. So you guys being able to chant this good, this early, it shows that you're practicing and you have guidance. I didn't have guidance to learn how to do these. So just keep practicing this one. And there's a recording in the YouTube page, and there's plenty of recordings on the podcast where you can be listening to this. There's one on the YouTube channel that is just the chanting. It's like a 2.5 minute video and it's just the chanting and that's it. So that would really help you to, sometimes people like put that on either in a headset or they'll play it over speakers while they're chanting to have me kind of chant with them. So feel free to do that. That'll help you to kind of sync up your chanting really nicely with the words.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right. Does anybody have any questions on any of the chants or anything that we've discussed in terms of these?
Yes, sir. The second chant, to be repeated 3 times, I've noticed that at first it was done just to be able to count 1, 2, 3. Now I've noticed it's become a habit to press the fingers slightly more together. These 2 the first time, these 2 for the second time, these 2 for the third time. Should that be broken? Is that an attachment, or has that just become a habit, sir?
You can do that. There's no harm with that. I think
Okay.
I think over time you'll get used to just remembering, just your memory will be there. But if you need to use that to begin with, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And also, though we are trying to practice singleness of mind, life does get busy sometimes. When we are trying to learn these chants, would this be something we could do while maybe washing dishes or folding clothes or something like that, to just sit and go through these chants, sir?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned last week, I used to chant in the shower because there's a lot of good acoustics in there. And it kind of shows you the potential that your voice has when you hear the voice kind of fill out in kind of a nice acoustic room. So, yeah, feel free to do that kind of stuff. That can be just fine.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
It does not appear that we have any more questions at this time, sir.
Okay, well, this is what I'd like to do for the remaining part of our class is let's go through the chants as a class, move into meditation, and then we will come out of meditation after we meditated for a period of time with the chants. So I will switch the chants on the screen so anybody who's would like to follow along with the chants on the screen, I'll switch those. And then after we get to the third chant, we'll just go into meditation. I'll guide you guys. Actually, you know what? I won't even give you guys guidance. I'll just let you guys ease into meditation as if you're doing this on your own. So when you're meditating, after we chant, we'll just go right into our meditation position. And then you guys just breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, establish your breath, and then focus the mind on the breath. And anytime the mind moves off the breath, you just cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath. And then you just keep doing that over and over and over in your meditation. Whenever the mind moves off the breath, cut it off, let it go, and come back to the breath. So we'll do the chants, all three chants. We'll just slip into meditation. We'll meditate for a period of time. And then at some point, I'll start the chants again, the arahang. And then when you come out of meditation, you can join with the arahang. That way you'll get used to going in and out of meditation with these chants. All right, so let's do that. So go ahead and get in position. I'm going to take a little drink of water. All right, let's do our chant and then go right into meditation. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavantang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vichacharanang Samuno Sakhato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhammasati Satatava Manusanang Bhoto Bhagavati. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภะคะวาพุทธังภะคะวันตังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสัคขะโตโรกาวิโตอนุเตโรภูริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, big claps. Good job, gang. Good job. Everyone's practicing, still practicing. All right, what questions do you guys have for me about chanting? This will be, by the way, my last class of teaching chanting for now, because the next 2 classes are going to be taught by Bossum. So if you guys have any questions for me on chanting, this would be a good time to ask them through Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. And if you're in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand. And then in the next 2 Wednesdays, session 3 and 4 of this series, Bossum will be teaching you guys. So any questions that you guys have, I'd be pleased to help you with, either about chanting or anything else about the path to enlightenment.
Yes, sir. Can one do chanting only when they're going into meditation, or only when coming out from meditation, or should it be before and after the meditation session, sir?
This is all going to be impermanent. You're going to have some meditation sessions where you go in with chanting, and then you get so deep in meditation and you'd like to just stop your meditation and no chanting. There'll be other sessions where you'll do it before and after, and that, that might be kind of like your normal, kind of maybe 50%, 60% of the time. But then there's going to be times where you just do it on the way in, or you might decide to do it only on the way out, or you might even decide not to do it at all on certain occasions. So what we're often taught with these different traditions is that we've got to do something every single day at exactly the same time, at exactly the same way, and all of these things. This is just permanence. This is the mind craving permanence. And your mind's going to be discontent if you were craving to do chanting every single time at the beginning and the end, because there's going to be some times where you're just like, I don't feel like chanting. I'd like to just meditate. And that's the time where you just meditate. And then there's going to be other times where you might just decide, I just like to chant. I'm not interested in meditating right now. I'm just going to chant. And then there's some times where, like I mentioned, you'll go in with chanting, but you won't come out with chanting. So allow it to be impermanent. Don't try to hold on to it and be fixed in doing exactly the same thing every single time, because that's just going to lead to discontentedness, because you're not going to be able to do it going in and out every single time. That would just not be possible because of the universal truth of impermanence.
Yes, thank you, sir. Jan has her hand raised. Let's go to her.
Thank you, Miranda. Thank you, Teacher David. I've noticed that at the beginning of the chanting, especially at the end of meditation, it causes a very strong jerking in my body. I don't think there's a feeling associated with it. It's more like being very startled, and I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't know if you have any guidance to offer there.
Is that where you're in meditation and then I start chanting, it startles you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, very strong startle.
Yeah, so this is because there's still a self there. As long as the mind still has a certain self, it's going to get scared sometimes, get startled like that. That's one of the ways to actually train a student to eliminate the self, is I will scare them. I did it twice to my wife today when she was coming in from outside. The door to enter, it's like a solid door, and I was just standing there, and then as soon as she grabbed the handle and opened it, I was like, hello, welcome home. And she jumped, and then she laughed and smiled the first time. The second time she got a little bit irritated. It was later in the day. She was probably a little bit tired, but that's okay because it helps the mind. This is what I did with Bailan too. I will oftentimes try to scare him. It's his mind that's producing the fear and the scare. It's the craving, desire, attachment. I'm not truly scaring him. I'm just doing something sudden, and then he's got to gain control, or she's got to gain the control of their mind and not be startled in that situation. So what I would suggest you do in that situation is when you hear the chanting come, just ease out of meditation. Don't be startled by it. Don't crave the silence. Because when you're meditating, there's probably lots of silence, and then boom, here's a noise. So the mind can be craving the silence, and that's what startles it. It could be the self, that there's a self there, and that the mind is startled by that. So one of the trainings that we do is try to startle our students sometimes. Like when Nick was here in Thailand, I would be at a temple touring him around, and I would kind of wait around the corner, and when he would come, I'd jump out, I'd be like, hey Nick, how's it going? And he's like, and he's like, I knew you were going to do that. So I started doing that occasionally. This is some of the things that we do to help our students to get comfortable with impermanence and let go of the self.
It was interesting to me that it happens only with the chanting, because there can be other loud noises during meditation. The neighbors start mowing the lawn, or a door slams, or whatever, and that doesn't seem to have any effect. It seems specific to the chanting.
Yeah, you can get to the point where none of that stuff startles you. One time I was at a temple teaching, and there was a bunch of monks that I was sitting with, and we were teaching about 10,000 people in this big audience, and there was a partition behind me, and the Thais were speaking in Thai, and they were doing a certain event. It was a grand opening of a temple, and my Thai isn't super good. It's very situational. I can go into restaurants, taxis, hotels, things like this. I can do all that kind of stuff, shopping, but I can't have conversational Thai. So at this event, they were announcing in Thai, because it was all a Thai audience, that they were having this event and everything was going on, and they were talking in Thai, and the next thing I know, there was this enormous boom. It was a firework. Thai fireworks are really loud. It sounds like a cannon, like a bomb going off. And I didn't even know that they were doing these fireworks. Of course, everyone else probably knew because they were announcing it in Thai. But I was just sitting there, just kind of, looking out into the audience. And next thing I know, it was like, ba boom, boom, ba 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 boom, boom, boom. And I observed that the mind wasn't even startled. In other situations, I knew before training the mind that would have just shook me up. I probably would have jumped out of the seat. But when you get used to not having that craving for permanence, when there's a change, which you're experiencing the silence to the sound, that's impermanence. Your mind's not comfortable with that. So that's why it's getting startled. and there can be a little bit of fear that comes in, sometimes. So you just have to keep training the mind. And each time you're in class with me like this and I do chant, that's training your mind to let go of craving silence and let go of this body thinking that just because you hear a noise, something harmful is going to happen to you. So you can get to the point where nothing startles the mind whatsoever. Not at all. Even a loud gunshot going off right next to you wouldn't startle you.
We've talked before about how I've been diagnosed with PTSD, and that is a known response when one has PTSD. It's called a startle response to sudden noises.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have some special susceptibility to this because of this? It might be more challenging for me.
No, because all PTSD is it's the mind clinging to past experiences. You're going to no longer be considered PTSD once you get close to enlightenment, because you're going to uncondition the mind. The diagnosis that they're labeling you with is just based on symptoms that they don't understand, and they're labeling it as PTSD. But really all it is the mind's clinging to its perceptions as part of the 5 aggregates, clinging to feelings. These 5 aggregates that the Buddha taught, the form aggregate, which is the physical form, the feeling aggregate, which is the feelings, the perceptions, which are the opinions and beliefs of the ways we look at things in the world, the volitional formations, which are choices and decisions, and then the consciousness or the mind. The human being in the unenlightened state is clinging to these 5 aggregates, and that's what causes discontentedness. And when you deeply continue to train the mind and you completely let go of clinging to these 5 aggregates, you will no longer experience discontentedness and nothing will startle you. So you're not truly PTSD. In the medical field, they're labeling you as that, but it's just the way that they are understanding the symptoms. You will see that you'll be able to completely eliminate anything like that. This is just the mind craving and clinging. If you were here in Thailand, what I would do with you, or if I was in America with you, or wherever we would be, is I would have you do this repeatedly over and over again, where we go in and out of meditation. We'll maybe be in meditation 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then boom, I'll start chanting, and you'll startle. It'll desensitize you to it. And then after you get really good with that, I would start introducing some sounds that you're not aware of, that I wouldn't tell you what I was doing. So maybe you'd be meditating and you're now over the startled sensation of when I'm chanting. You've done that 5, 8, 10 times, and now that's completely out of the mind. Then I would probably have you meditating, and then I'd probably bring some musical instrument, like some cymbals, and I'd be like, psh, and then you'd probably startle with that one, and then we'd kind of work you through that a few times, and then you would get to the point where you're not startled by that one anymore. And then I'd maybe bring a little whistle, because you're really sensitive with the ears. So you could actually do some of this training on your own. You don't need me to do it for you. If you have some kind of random sound generator that it will just at random intervals will produce some kind of sound, if you can do that for yourself while you're meditating, you have your own meditations that you're doing to train the mind, but then maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you have a standalone session where you turn on this random sound generator and you meditate, and you don't know what sound's coming and you don't know when it's coming, and it just pops. That is going to desensitize your mind and train your mind to let go of this craving through the ears for permanence. And then it'll desensitize you to that, and you'll eventually get to the point where nothing will startle you.
Thank you, Teacher David. I'll try that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you find a random sound generator, let me know, because I've never looked for one. I'm sure there's one out there somewhere. I would like to have that for other students, because they're going to need that. And even here when I train people, because I do it manually, with different sounds and stuff. Yeah. I've done it with Bailan when he's been meditating. I'll just be like, Bailan! And he'll jump. But after a couple of times of doing that over multiple days, he'll get desensitized to it and it won't bother him anymore. He'll just be able to stay in meditation. So you need that from something, some kind of sound. whether it's your husband helping you or whether it's some other way that you produce some random sounds.
I was imagining I could set some alarms on my phone to go off at different intervals that aren't regular.
Yeah, and that you don't know that they're, you know, what they're doing in different sounds too, not the exact same sound. Yeah.
Yeah. If I find a random sound generator, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tony has his hand raised. Let's go to him, sir.
Yes, sir. In Facebook, Tonka is asking, three universal truths may be very heartbreaking when we don't have access to permanent peace and serenity of mind. Any tips there?
So to me, the three universal truths are very liberating, because without the wisdom of the three universal truths, the mind's going to stay stuck in the unenlightened state. So when we first start understanding the three universal truths, yeah, we might have a bit of a challenge to understand them, but over time we get more and more comfortable with them, understanding them and observing them in the world, realizing this is true, where it's not a big deal anymore. Where before, if you were working on your computer and the screen froze, you might have got angry, you might have hit your fist, you might have been upset. Where now you're like, oh, there's impermanence, that makes sense, kind of almost expecting that, right? Or if your Wi-Fi goes out, where before you might have got angry, now you just kind of know, well, there's that impermanence again. It's out, but that's impermanent too. Or like if you watch Netflix and your movie freezes up on you, where typically you would get angry, now you understand, oh, that's impermanent. So let me just go in and out, let me reboot it, let me see if that works. If not, okay, I'll just watch that movie tomorrow. I'll just pick it up where I left off. So these universal truths, while we don't know them, we don't understand them prior to the path, once we do learn them and we start observing them, they're very liberating. We start having this affection for them. It's like, oh wow, I understand what's going on here. Because that's why the mind gets shaken up and it struggles and has difficulties in the unenlightened state, is because we don't understand these universal truths. So therefore, because we don't understand these universal truths and these natural laws of existence, all these things are happening around us that we don't understand. So we get frustrated when the computer freezes up, or we get frustrated when the Wi-Fi freezes up, or when the Netflix freezes up, or when we go to the store and we want our favorite chocolate cake and they don't have it. We get frustrated because we don't understand impermanence. So the more we understand it, the more that we just get comfortable with it and we start observing it everywhere in the world around us. It can be frustrating for someone who knows about enlightenment and they know their mind isn't there yet, right? If there's craving, desire, attachment for that peacefulness, for enlightenment, when you observe that the mind is discontent, you're going to be frustrated and irritated, right? Because oftentimes people, when they first learn about this path and they first learn that there is something called enlightenment, where the mind can be permanently peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy, they start craving that. And now when their mind becomes angry at the Wi-Fi not working, or they get irritated because the Wi-Fi is not working, not only do they get irritated because the Wi-Fi is not working, they get irritated because they're irritated, right? They get discontent because they're discontent. It's like, oh, that Wi-Fi made me angry, or now I'm irritated or whatever. Oh, but now I'm not enlightened, right? I can see I'm not enlightened and I'm irritated at that too. So it kind of compounds your discontentedness because you're discontent because you're discontent. So you've got to let go of these cravings where you don't crave peacefulness, you don't crave enlightenment, but instead you pursue this path as an interest, as a goal, as an objective, realizing it's a gradual pursuit. One of the things that I share is that it took the Buddha 6 years to get enlightened. 6 years. So it's going to take you some time. I've worked with some students who, in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, they can get to enlightenment. But still, that's going to take some time because they're doing it with guidance. Where the Buddha, he was doing it on his own. So it took him more than just 2 years or 1 year, 3 years. It was the same thing when once the Buddha attained enlightenment, he had students that were attaining enlightenment in 9 months or a year or 2 years, the same thing. But it's going to take you some time. It's not going to be a quick thing because your mind has been like this your entire life. And I happen to know your age, Tonka. You've shared it with me before. So your mind's been unenlightened for this amount of time in this life. and for countless lives before this. So you've existed for millions of years in different forms, right? For countless lives. So let's just say it took you another 5 years, or even say it took you 10 years or 15 years. That's a blink of an eye compared to the whole span of existences that you've had over countless existences. So just enjoy the journey. Know that it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a struggle sometimes, but you reach out to me and the other members of the community and we'll help you. Other people have craved enlightenment. I craved enlightenment at one time too. That's how I know that it's a thing, it's a real thing. And as long as you crave it, you won't get to it. So you just got to kind of sneak up on it, where you're kind of like sneaking up behind it. Another way to think about it that will help you is think about it as the mind is already enlightened. Oftentimes when we don't have something, it makes us want it more because we don't have it. So think about it as the mind is already enlightened and there's just pollution in the way, and you've got to get that pollution out of the way so that you can experience more and more enlightened qualities. Because there might be 10 minutes or an hour or 3 hours or a day or two that you're quite peaceful. That's like temporary enlightenment. It's not a thing. The Buddha never really taught that, but you can think about that one day of peacefulness as kind of like temporary enlightenment and showing you that you have the ability to attain it, or that the mind is already enlightened. But now there's this pollution that arises the next day and produces this discontentedness. So one of the ways to let go of the craving for enlightenment is just to imagine that the mind is already enlightened. And all you've got to do is learn and practice enough to eliminate the pollution so that you can experience more and more time of enlightenment, or more and more qualities of the enlightened mind. That's one of the ways to let this go as well. And just realize it's going to be a journey, and it's going to be fun sometimes, it's going to be a struggle other times, but that struggle is impermanent, just like that fun part is impermanent too for now. But eventually you'll get these longer and longer periods of time where the mind will be peaceful, and you'll thank yourself for being committed and dedicated and diligent to the path. When you are getting closer and closer and you experience those longer and longer periods of peacefulness, you'll be so thankful that you stuck with it. But you've got to get over that craving, that desire, that attachment, wanting enlightenment, and just pursue it as a goal, an interest, or an objective.
Yes, sir. It does not appear there are any more questions at this time.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining for today's class. Thank you for your questions. Thank you to Tony and Miranda for moderating. I appreciate your dedication to helping us all learn and share questions and helping to ensure the classes move smoothly. This is wonderful that you're helping out. And thank you, all of you guys, for attending, whether you're attending live or you're listening to this on the replay. I appreciate all your dedication, diligence to learning this path, because as you learn and practice, it's helping you, it's helping those close to you, and it's helping all of humanity. Because as you cause less harm in the world, it's helping you because your mind's becoming more peaceful. And it's helping the people who are close to you, your friends, your family, your neighbors, the people that you're now not causing as much harm to. And then because of that, it's helping all of humanity because you're not causing as much harm and it's not affecting the people around you as well. So thank you for your dedication to the path and working your way gradually to the enlightened mental state. This Sunday coming up, we're going to be sharing the 5 precepts. In fact, Miranda is going to be teaching that class because I'm going to be traveling to America starting next Sunday. So it's going to be a Zoom-only class. We're not going to be live streaming that class. So if you normally join by live stream, you're going to need to come into Zoom in order to learn with Miranda. There'll still be a podcast. The podcast from last time I taught the 5 precepts, it's going to be published for a replay, but there's not going to be a YouTube video or a Facebook video. It's all going to be in Zoom. So you're welcome to join Miranda and all the other students for this Sunday to learn the 5 precepts. And then on Wednesday next week, it's going to be the 3rd class of our 4-part series. And that's the same thing. There's going to be a Zoom only class. So all the Wednesdays until August 3rd are going to be Zoom only from this point forward. And it's going to be Bossum teaching the first 3 classes, and then Miranda is going to be teaching the last 3 classes. So there's going to be 2 more classes of learning Buddhist chanting, and then Bossum's going to start with a session on breathing mindfulness meditation, and then that'll be his 3 classes that he teaches. And then Miranda's going to do a class on loving kindness meditation, a class on breathing mindfulness meditation, and a class on loving kindness meditation. We're going to be rotating these. And because I'm going to be traveling, we have some other teachers that are going to step in and guide you guys in meditation, but those Wednesdays are going to be Zoom only. There's not going to be any podcast, there's not going to be any YouTube video or Facebook video during those Wednesdays. All the Saturday and Sunday classes that are typically taught, I'm planning to teach those as I normally teach them. So as I've traveled around over the next 6 weeks, I've organized my plan so that I can be at a certain location and teach the Saturday Pali Canon and English study group at the same time, 9 o'clock Thai time, and teach the Sunday group learning program at the same time, 9 o'clock Thai time. And all the other classes that we're going to be doing are all at the same time. We base it all off of the Thai time zone. So wherever that is in your time zone, you can tune in by Zoom for Sunday and all the next Wednesdays. But then Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook, and all the other facilities that we usually have, like podcasts, the Periscope, the Twitch, and all the other places that we stream to. So I sent out an email on this just today. So you'll see all the details in email if you're looking for the details, or you're always welcome to send me a message and I will help you understand what our schedule is going forward. But if you're on our mailing list, you'll see it in your email. And if you're not on our mailing list, you can go to buddhadailywisdom.com and click on the contact link. And from there, you can put in your email address and you'll get on our mailing list so that when we have announcements of new classes and opportunities to learn and retreats and stuff like this, you'll be able to learn those. Everything that we share is all offered at no cost. So you'll never get an email that's begging you to buy something or pay for something or anything like that. It's only emails to inform you of the learning opportunities to learn at no cost and take advantage of being able to learn the path to enlightenment and get your mind closer and closer to the enlightened mental state. So I'll see you either in a future class or perhaps as I travel over the next 6 weeks, I'll see you at some point. Have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Sawadee Kap.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To provide support for this podcast, visit patreon.com/support Buddha. To access more teachings, visit buddhadailywisdom.com. There, you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Remember to establish a daily, consistent meditation practice, along with learning and practicing these teachings. A well-developed meditation practice is the foundation in which to train the mind to attain enlightenment.